Hey everybody, welcome to Mexico. Today is my first AMA Ask Me Anything. I really appreciate all the questions that everybody sent in. There's a lot of questions and I'm gonna get through as many as I can. I tried to organize all this, but then I just realized part of the point of it is just the chaos of it. So I'm just going to speak, and if I run out of time, I will do a second one. But yeah, thanks again for sending everything in. Okay, first question, Michael. Why not just put everything on streaming? From Give Me Something to Trace and so much more, I think you have such a passionate fan base that would love to hear absolutely everything, regardless of the stage of the song is in. I guess I started with this one because this one really hits home. It's a great question, Michael. I struggle with this question every week, at least. Part of the problem is my perfectionism. And I just go back and forth. I go back and forth between wanting to finish the songs, wanting to put some finishing touches on the songs, wanting to master the songs, wanting to remaster the songs, not wanting anybody to hear the songs. There's a reason why a lot of those songs were up and now they're not up, is because one day I woke up and was like, oh my God, I don't want people to hear those songs in the state they're in. And I know that's dumb, and my plan is to put everything up. So just so you know, over the course of the next year or two, I do intend to put every single thing up. It's gonna take a while. Some of the songs need to be mastered, some of them need to be remastered. Mastering's really tough. You know, I've got this engineer that does electronica, I've got this engineer that does rock, this one that does more acoustic stuff. They all cost a lot of money. So, anyway, I may just like level it all up and send it out. But thank you for your encouragement. It's coming. It's going to happen. Richard, did you participate in school talent shows or Battle of the Bands? Yes, I did. I participated in high school in numerous talent shows. In middle school, I had a band called Crystal Blizzard with Kevin Kleinkopf and other people that I was in high school with, or in junior high. That was in 9th grade. And I did talent shows in high school. I was in a jazz choir. I did a bunch of soloing in that. I was actually like voted most talented in my high school, which at the time I just thought was insane. But I don't know. I think I was the one that was most willing to get up and make a fool of myself. So I think that's why I won, probably. Richard has a second one. Have you ever worked a 9-to-5 job? And if so, tell us how much you miss it and want to do it again. I have worked a 9-to-5 job. When I got out of college, I worked all the way through, when I was a kid, I had a lawn mowing business. I worked all the way through elementary school, junior high, high school, and college. But when I got out of college, I was a substitute teacher in the Oakland School District, which was great because I could work 3 or 4 days a week. It paid really well because they were desperate for people to sub at a lot of these schools. I would ride the bus down out of South Berkeley into Oakland, down into all Black or all Latino schools, like completely segregated schools where sometimes I was the only white person in the building. You know, the administrators would be Black, the teachers would be Black, you know, and I really loved that. I loved the kids. I just loved hanging out with the kids. And yeah, for me, coming from Idaho, that was a new world that I really wanted to see and experience. So, and then, yeah, doing that sub job, they would call me every morning at 5 to let me know if I was working that day. And if I didn't want to work, I could just leave my phone off. And that gave me a lot of flexibility to do rock and roll and help me pay my way until I got a record deal. I mean, when I got a record deal, I was 26 years old and I was $70,000 in debt on credit cards. I was completely maxed out via fraudulent reporting of income that did not exist. But, you know, back then it's like you wanted to make a recording, you had to pay a studio, you had to pay an engineer. You couldn't do it all in your bedroom. So that's what it took. And thank God I got a record deal. And could pay off all that debt. You know, it's bad when you're getting cash advances to make the monthly payments. So that's the point at which you know that it's bad. Eduardo says, what was the process like to get the Your Body Above Me vinyl? What made you want to do that album in particular? And which of the records would you like to be the next under the vinyl? So the entire vinyl process, I mean, people have asked me about vinyl for years. I've wanted to do vinyl for years. I just have always felt like there were higher priorities in terms of my energy and my creative life. I've always wanted to make new stuff rather than press up old stuff. So that entire vinyl process was basically Dustin Pike just asserting himself and insisting on it and not letting it go and continuing to message me over and over and over and over and being totally willing to do all the work and take all the financial risk and do all the fulfillment. So he's the guy that packaged those records up so beautifully and sent them out to you. I did do the artwork and I got him the original audio. He got it mastered, so it's really, that's all, it's like 88% Dustin to get that done. And I'm super grateful to him and really glad to have him. In terms of vinyl in the future, he's talking about See the Sun and just kind of going through. I don't know. It seems like a lot of people wanted Your Body Above Me on vinyl. I don't know if a lot of people are going to want See the Sun on vinyl or Passion or Future records. But again, if he's game to keep going, then of course I'm going to make those things available. And I don't know. I guess hopefully the long tail sales will justify it, but I don't know. So that's the answer. The Smoke vinyl was all his thought, all his idea, which I thought it was really beautiful. And yeah, so if you get a chance, you can bring those to a show if I'm playing in your area, and I will sign them for you. So, yeah. Catherine Rose, before you took the trip to Mexico months ago, had you already been considering moving there, or you decided while on? Is it true about not being able to drink the water? It's 100% true. Nowhere in Mexico can you drink the water that comes out of the tap. So everybody, whether you're in a 4-star hotel or an indigenous village, everybody drinks water out of a bottle. In fact, yes, you can see right here, that's our 5-gallon bottle of water that we're drinking out of. You can't drink the tap water. They get it out of rivers. They pull it right out of the aquifers, and it's not processed. And some people say keep your mouth closed when you brush your teeth. We don't do that. We haven't had a problem with that. As long as you're not taking big mouthfuls of it, I think you're fine. But yeah, don't drink the water in Mexico. As far as the trip here, so I came down this year, 2023, in January to have some dental work done because I needed an implant and had an old root canal go bad. And my dentist quoted me $5,000, and I was like, I don't have $5,000, and I can get it done in Mexico for about a third that price. So June said, "Oh, well, if we're going to Mexico, let's go to Oaxaca." So we came down here. We were down here for almost 3 weeks getting these procedures done, and I just fell in love with it. I just fell in love with this place, with the art, with the people, and with the ocean. And it made me realize I really want to be swimming in the ocean. That's an important thing to me. I really loved that when I lived in LA, and it's just hard to do when you live in Montana. So at the end of the trip, I said to her, "Why do we have to leave? Why can't we just live here?" And I was kind of joking, but she was like, "We could live here." And then, we thought about it and we talked about it a lot, and we realized we could live here, And so that began a whole process of us going through our lives, and for me, just saying, what do I want to do? What do I not want to do? Okay? I do not want to shovel snow. I don't want to be cold 8 months out of the year. I don't want to live in a place where there's this huge influx of wealthy people coming in to, when I moved to Bozeman, it was a dirty little ski town, and now it's like a ski resort. It was like living in a ski resort, and I just didn't like it anymore. And I was like, man, I just don't like living here. And after a few years of having that feeling, and my rent doubling in 5 years, I was like, I don't want to live here anymore. So, one of the other things I really wanted is I wanted to play live. I had such great experiences doing the house concerts with everybody, such a great experience going to Seattle where people sponsored me. Like in my mind, I don't like to play live because what I hate is going in a bar where there's some people there to see me, and then there's a bunch of people there not to see me, and they want to have conversations, which is understandable. That's what I want to do when I go to a bar too, is talk to my friends. But playing for a room, only some of whom really want to be there, I've just always found very painful. It'd be like getting up to give an emotional speech about something very personal to you, and half the room is talking and not listening to you. It's not a good time. It's not a good time for me. I know people love to do it, and they're like, I don't care. And it was different when I had a band, because then we would just turn up to 11 and nobody was going to be talking because we're just too loud. So that was fine. It was fine then. But as playing acoustic, which I really do love to do, I really love the control I have. I love the intimacy. I love I love just being able to express myself in that way. Playing in a bar sucks. And that means that touring sucks, But playing in a room where I've been invited to come in, and people are either there because they've been listening to my music for a long time and they're excited to hear these songs, or they're friends of somebody, and they get the message that, like, we're here to listen and and be polite, and that's just wonderful. That's the greatest experience really in the world. So that I love. I want to do more of that. How can I do more of that? Well, Montana's very secluded and it's very expensive, and it just has really, I feel like, kept my nose to the grindstone in certain ways, that have kept me from traveling and being a parent and everything, but also just, Eugen's grown up now, and now I can go where I want to go and do what I want to do. And so that's what this is. This is me coming here because I want to be here. I want to be where it's warm. I want to be where it's sunny every day. And I want to swim in the ocean. And then I can get on an airplane and come back to the States. I'm going to be coming to Texas in April for a certain birthday girl. And I'm hopefully going to spin some things out of that. If you would like to invite me to come to where you live and find a place for me to play, and if you think there's a way that I could make money doing that and get paid for my time and travel, then I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. So let me know. What was the question? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it wasn't a big plan. We just came here, loved it, went home, and started organizing how to sell our stuff, how to get things completed. I had a bunch of logistical and business things that I needed to handle, and selling all your furniture and your cars, and, probably half my studio. I kept the kind of core part of my studio that I know that I use and that's important to me. And when it comes time to make another record, I'll either work at somebody else's studio or I will put mine back together somewhere with the important components. So, Paul Macarith, you posted what I believe was an unfinished song called Sirens or Silence. Did that ever get finished? Yes, Sirens did get finished, and it will be on the new Black Lab record. So I really love that song. Always wondered how your taste in gear has changed over the years. What did you start with? Vintage, amps, effects, modeling stuff, how it affects your taste. Yeah, for me, it's always been about vintage guitars and tube amps. For me, a vacuum tube is just an essential part of recording. For many, many years, I used, I always used either Telefunken or AKG microphones to record with. And then at some point I was like, I'm gonna get a modeling microphone. And I sold my AKG C12 and struggled so much with a very high-tech contemporary microphone, which I honestly feel like I couldn't tell the difference between the modeling microphone that was modeling a C12 and my actual C12. I couldn't tell the difference. But there was such a tremendous difference in the process of singing. Like when I'm singing into a vacuum tube, it's like I'm in relationship with this animal, and the tube is giving and taking, and we're just kind of like together in this place. And it's very intimate and very I don't know, it's like we ravish each other, that AKG and me. And the new mics are just very sterile. And so I can sing into it and I can get the same effect, I can get the same sound on the back end, but the process of singing into it is completely different. And I feel the same way about a tube amp, and I used to feel the same way about the modeling, the computer processes for modeling. It's like, yeah, it sounds that way. Like the amp sounds like it's going, like I'm playing through an amp, this modeling thing, but I don't have the experience of playing through the amp when I'm playing. And it always just bummed me out, and I always just insisted on having having a matchless in the room with me, or a Vox, so that I could play through the amp, record it with my microphone, and then that's what would be on the record. That changed when I got an Antelope rig. The Antelope rig, they really have figured out guitar amp modeling, and while it's not perfect, it gives me so much control, and it gives me so many ways to express myself in such a quick period of time that it's worth it. So I do feel like there are a few companies who have nailed the amp modeling stuff. including and especially antelope, I would say. Everything else they make is a nightmare, but the ant models are so good. I put up with the rest of the nightmare to benefit from it. So, yeah, the computer stuff gets better and better. Just like in everything else in the world, it gets better and better. And I use it more and more, which is why I was able to sell so many things, because it's like, I just don't use this anymore. I don't use this anymore. I don't use this anymore. I've got a solution for that in my computer. I've got software for that, that I bought. So for better and worse, that's how it is. Okay, Bunny Fufu, tell us about your accommodations in Mexico. Are you guys renting a place, staying with friends and family? What routines have you adopted since you've been there? Any culture shock moments? Yeah, there have been a lot. The whole experience is an ongoing culture shock. In terms of accommodations, we were in Oaxaca City in Centro for about a month, and then we moved out here. Right now we're in an old Zapotec village, the name of which I cannot pronounce. It has a lot of T's and X's and L's in it. But we are in, as you can see, this incredibly beautiful, modern home that we just rented on Airbnb for about half what we were paying in Bozeman. So, but it's got these tremendous gardens all the way around. It's got a lap pool in back. I've been swimming every day. So that's just been wonderful to come out here. I mean, partly it's not super expensive because it is out of the central city. But it's, it's a 15-minute, $8 cab ride to the center. And we had a month there, so that was fun. And that was probably enough. Actually, after this, we're over on the east side of the city. We're going to the west side of the city next, to another beautiful place, which is actually much less than this. So, yeah, we found wonderful places to stay here. And it's very interesting, after having a house and a studio for, I don't know, 30 years, to be living out of a suitcase and to have to kind of face the differences of culture and the differences of language. I spend 2 or 3 hours every day trying to learn Spanish, trying to shove that into my brain, and that is very challenging. Learning new things is hard, and learning another language in your 50s is really hard, I'm finding. So that's very humbling. And but it makes going to the corner store exciting. It makes taking a cab an adventure, because there's always this challenge that I'm under in terms of how much can I understand and how much can I speak, so it's fun. I wake up early here. It's crazy. I've been getting up at dawn most days. I go up, I write. I have this awesome Kindle that I use to write with. So this is like the next day's writing. And I do a lot of journaling. I'm working on lyrics. I'm trying to get a sense of it's cool. You just write and it backs it up to the cloud, and I'm not carrying around 12 spiral notebooks. And then I study Spanish while my brain is still fresh. And then I try to do some work. Or we'll go to a market, or we'll go to some of the unbelievably profound archaeological ruins, or we'll go visit one of the artisan villages that surround Oaxaca, where they make black ceramics. They make these incredible wool rugs. They make mezcal. They make the alebrijes, which are these psychedelic animals that kind of represent, in some ways, the horoscope of people. And the 50 million other things that is going on here. It's such a, after living in Montana where the orientation is really about like outdoors and health and skiing and buying shit. It's really wonderful to be here where the emphasis is on art. It's like that's what everybody here is doing on some level. And it's just wonderful to go be among the indigenous populations and eat food that is being prepared in the same way that it's been prepared for thousands of years. It's just super rich. So, what's not to like? Are you seeing Andy anytime soon? Perhaps a new Black Lab album one day. Yes, so I am working on a new Black Lab album. That's one of the reasons why I came here, is I wanted to get a bunch of fresh input. The house that we were in was beautiful, but in the process of finishing my solo album, a solo album that was really about grief and death and pain, I just wanted some fresh kind of sensory input away from that. So really happy to have that. And, I have hundreds and hundreds of melodies, and a lot of times I will just write up the first like 20 or 30 melodies that I come across that I really like. And then that'll kind of get whittled down into 12 or 15, and then the best recordings will get released. And I'm wanting to do maybe a little bit more of a thorough examination of kind of like all the ideas I've been having the last 3 or 4 years, because as I've come back to life, in part because of all you supporting my Kickstarter, as I've started to feel like, okay, there is value in writing these songs for other people, but also for me. More and more and more ideas have come, and so they're on my phone and my recorders, and so I'm excited about going through those and just getting a sense of what I have to say, what do I want to say with the next Black Lab album. And yeah, I mean, Andy and I definitely had a very clear moment of like, okay, I'm gonna go do this. He had just moved to San Antonio. He had to get his studio together. San Antonio. He had moved to Austin, and he had to get his studio together. And I was gonna make this solo record, and he's not really into the kind of roots thing. He's more electronica, big rock, and so so we just had a moment of like, okay, I'm gonna go handle my stuff, you go handle your stuff, and then we'll see what's up. And I don't have a lot of finished songs yet, so it's not really time to see what's up yet. But when it is time to see what's up, we'll see what's up. So is Weightless about someone you know? From Corey. No, that was just this amazing track that Andy had made, this beautiful thing, and I just started singing on it right away. When he played it for me, I was like, turn the mic on. And really it just kind of poured out. And I used to say, well, I'm done writing songs about my past. Now I'm just writing songs. Now I'm writing fiction, I've exhausted my past. And then I started realizing that the songs I was writing were about my future, that I was actually writing about my divorce years before I even knew there was a problem in my marriage. And so now I don't make that distinction so much anymore. Everything is about me and my life in a way, but a lot of it isn't about anything in particular. A lot of it is just my experiences and the people I've known. It's like I've known girls like the one in Weightless. who were a bad week or two away from not being able to keep going. So I felt like, in a way, that song is a tribute to that kind of person, you know? The capacity to keep going under unbearable strain and misery is something that some people have, and it's something that other people don't have. And who knows why some people have it and some people don't. But yeah, I love that song. Gary Holt, please post more of the older Black Lab live footage gigs sessions. Hey, Gary. Yeah, I mean, if I had more of that stuff, I would, but you got to remember, it was 1997, 1998, you know? It's like people were walking around with video cameras on their phones back then, you know? So there actually isn't a lot of footage. But again, in the spirit of releasing stuff from the past, being a little bit more oriented towards that and a little bit less oriented towards just creating new things, I am going to go through the archives and put together some kind of live album, and it will have some kind of video component, because I think there is some video footage, but that's a lot of technical stuff, and I'm good at that stuff. I'm just not great at it, so it takes a lot of work. What is your favorite album from Black Lab, other projects, solo, Stray Palace, or any band? Yeah, again, this is something that I would have been able to answer, but I just can't answer it anymore. And it's not even like they're all my children and I love them equally. It's more that those different, like when I listen to Your Body Above Me, which I have been doing in preparation, listening to the masters and in preparation for the vinyl release, it's like that record is so powerful because of us four guys sitting in that room for a year and a half just playing 30, 40 hours a week, you know? Me going home at night, taking the DAT recordings from the rehearsals, going through them, finding the guitar riff, finding the super cool drum fill, finding the moment where I did something I really liked, putting it on cassettes for everybody, saying, hey, check this out. I found this moment that I really like. This could be a cool verse part or whatever. It was just so much work went into it, that, you know, and I don't like everything. I don't like everything about that record. And then there's a lot of things that I would not do again, and I did not do them again. This is why I didn't do them again. But the synergy of us four, I can recognize that even when I don't like things, or even when I kind of like, I can understand that the synergy of us four and all the hard work we did is expressing itself in that moment in a really powerful way. In the same way, like I listen to See the Sun and I roll my eyes about different things because it's such a pop record, and I just wanted to make the biggest pop record in the world. But you know, there's a lot of great things about it. There's a lot of great things about that time and those songs and that approach. You know, I listened to Two Strangers. Like, there's a way in which Two Strangers is the best songwriting, the best lyric writing I've ever done in my life. There's a way in which, you know, A Raven Has My Heart, where I was writing those love songs from inside the experience. I was in love in a way I had never been before, and I was writing those songs from inside that experience. There was nothing mediated about that. There was nothing about the past I was writing about. I was just completely unleashed. and that made for some very powerful things, but it also made for some things that are not as immediate as they might be if they had gone through the filter of time. So, you know, and my solo album, I mean, there's ways in which my solo album is like the best work I've ever done. I can't, I also know like that I'm not the one to judge that. I'm in no position to judge that. And so I guess the answer is I love all the things for different reasons. And I mean, I love Cake or Death. What a funny thing to have done with my friends. My friends wanted to start a band. None of them had been in bands. I was like, oh, I'll get you up and running. And then the guitar player quit, and I was like, wow, I really like being the lead guitar player and playing crappy 3-note solos. And then ended up making a record. It's crazy what happens when you move to the middle of nowhere. And yeah, Stray Palace has got wonderful moments that I absolutely love. So anyway, I love that stuff, and it's the same thing with artists. Like I was listening to Boy Genius today, really enjoying that. I still love PJ Harvey. I still love the 90s stuff. I still love the 80s stuff that I came up with. Psychedelic Furs and Sex Pistols, and I'm looking forward to checking out the new National album. So I don't know. It's all good. I don't really have favorites that much anymore. Tracy, boxer briefs, or G-string. Of course, Tracy has to lay it down. Boxer briefs. Yeah, Tracy. Boxer briefs. Are you happy now? Michelle, have you found happiness? Have I found happiness? This is a funny question, because if you'd asked this of me when I was 20 or 30 or 40, I would have been like, I don't care about happiness. I don't care about being happy. That's shallow or something. I don't, some version of that, something, like I care about growing, happiness is a byproduct of growth. Which to some extent is true, but I wouldn't say that I have found happiness. I would say that I have found or developed a degree of responsibility. And I feel like that's just way more important. Like if I'm not happy, I know that I'm responsible for not being happy. And that at this point, I can do something about it, Throughout my life, I've been enormously attached to suffering and have enjoyed my suffering, have enjoyed the pain that I've experienced, and have felt great richness and value in that experience of pain and the rooting around in it. And it's not that I don't do that anymore, because I do, but I can now recognize that that's what I'm doing, and that I can recognize that it's a choice I'm making, and I can recognize that I can make a different choice. And, happiness there is a lot of circumstantial stuff about happiness. I mean, you want to be happy, like acquire a child, like have a baby or adopt a baby. There's just unimaginable happiness in that. You pay for it, but I mean, or fall in love. Again, you will pay for it. Have somebody give you $80,000 on your Kickstarter. you will be happy. But of course, all of those things pass, and everything has to be paid for. You know, I wasn't always happy getting that album made under relentless pressure from myself to get it made. You know, I'm not always happy as the parent of a teenager that I worry about 24/7. But I do feel like happiness is a choice that I can make, which I haven't really felt that way in my life before the last year, I'd say. So, I don't know, you tell me, is that finding happiness? Okay, this is going on, and I have a shit ton more questions. All right, I'm gonna just have to do a second one of these. So I'm gonna do a second one, and I hope you enjoyed this one. And thank you for all your questions. If you have more questions, please send them to me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your interest. If you made it this far, great. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Thanks.